Okay, Chapter 7 introduces different types of components that are involved in calculating items on an invoice. I'm going to start here just to identify that any time that you buy or sell, especially from a wholesaler to a retailer, and that you get you get an invoice. So the merchandise sold by retailers is bought from manufacturers and wholesalers who sell only to retailers and not to customers. These manufacturers and wholesalers offer retailer discounts so retailers can resell the merchandise at a profit. The discounts are off the manufacturers and wholesalers' list price or the suggested retail price, and the amount of discount that retailers receive off the list price is a trade discount amount. So here's some examples of how to calculate a trade discount. So if you have a list price or the suggested retail price of $11,550 and you have a 25% trade discount, and they provide these types of discounts in order to market their product to give you a good deal. And one of the things that they do in this particular chapter is show you some marketing strategies of how they introduce trade discounts in different formats to make it look more appealing, to make your company look like it's providing a little bit more of a discount than another company. And so a lot of it is more about the marketing of the way that the discount is displayed. But technically, if you got a list price of $11,550 and you have a 25% discount, just multiply that times 0.25, and that will give you the trade discount amount of $2,887.50. So here is an invoice of McGraw-Hill, and it shows that it was dated on July the 8th of 2016. It's shipping 2-day UPS, and it has a terms of 2% discount if taken within 10 days, with the net due in 30 days. It's being sold to North Shore Community College Bookstore in Massachusetts, and then the description is for 50 financial management textbooks at $195 each. 195 times 50 will give you $9,750. 10 Introduction to Business books at $180 each will give you $1,800. So your total list price is $11,550, and that's what they came up with in this particular calculation. Okay, now there's a trade discount of 25%, so they took that $11,550 times 0.25, and that gave them $2,887.50, and that's a trade discount amount. Subtract that from the list price to give them the net price of $86.62.50. Now they are shipping it. McGraw-Hill is shipping it to North Shore, and they've taken responsibility to pay for the shipping up front. So they've added that in for $125, and adding that to your net price will give you your total invoice amount. Okay, what they have not yet shown you is that there is a 2% discount if taken within 10 days, but the net is due in 30. And so in 10 days from July the 8th, which is July the 18th, if North Shore Community College Bookstore pays for this shipment, then you will be given a 2% additional upfront discount. Okay, I believe, by the way, the net price formula, you take your list price of $11,550 minus your trade discount amount, and that gives you your net price. We've already calculated that in that previous example. Okay, I want to take a look at a couple of other items. The freight terms. The most common freight terms are FOB shipping point and FOB destination. FOB shipping point would be McGraw-Hill shipping it to North Shore, and FOB shipping point is that they take responsibility for getting it on the truck, and then North Shore will actually pay the shipping at that particular point. And FOB destination is just the opposite of that. So shipping point means free on board. FOB, free on board at shipping point. That is, a buyer pays the freight cost of getting the goods to the place of business. For example, assume that IBM in San Diego bought goods from Argo suppliers in Boston. Argo ships the goods FOB Boston by plane, and IBM takes the title to the goods when the aircraft in Boston receives the goods, so IBM pays the freight from Boston to San Diego. Frequently, the seller, Argo, prepays the freight and adds the amount to the buyer's invoice. When paying the invoice, the buyer takes a cash discount off the net price and adds the freight cost. FOB shipping point can be illustrated as follows. So Argo Suppliers, IBM takes title here. It goes from Boston to San Diego, and the buyer pays for the freight costs. So buyer pays the freight. FOB destination means the seller pays the freight cost until it reaches the buyer's place of business. If Argo ships its good to IBM FOB destination or FOB San Diego, the title of the goods remains with Argo. Then it's Argo's responsibility to pay the freight from Boston to IBM's place of business in San Diego. So FOB destination can be illustrated as such. So FOB San Diego, Argo has a title, and seller pays for the freight, and IBM gets the title on the arrival of goods. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the characteristics that will be common, some of the calculations that will be necessary when we're calculating invoices in this particular chapter. Okay, first of all, okay, I'm going to do this the long way. First of all, like if you have a list price of $680, and you're going to give them a, okay, we talked about a trade discount earlier of 25%, but sometimes there are chain discounts, and this just basically is a clever way of trying to make sure that the receiver of the invoice says, you know what, this looks like a lot better deal because there's multiple types of discounts I can take. The mistake that most people make is that they add those discounts together, and you should never, ever, ever do that. So I'm going to work this particular problem out the long way to show you why you should never add the discounts together. So this is a $680 item. That's a list price, and we're going to provide a 20% discount and a 10% discount. And it may look something like this. So here's the actual problem right there. So 680, okay, times 20% or 0.2 will give a discount of $136. Then I'm going to subtract 136 from 680, and that will give, and that's the amount of the discount right there, and that will provide a net cost of $544. Okay, so $544 is your net cost with the 20% discount. This is why you don't add them together, because now we're going to take that 544 and multiply that times 10%, the second in the trade, to give us $54.40 for the amount of the discount. Then we're going to subtract the $54.40, the discount amount, from 544, and that will give us $489.60. And that will be the net cost of this particular item that was originally for sale for $680. So the net cost itself is $489.60. Okay, now I'm going to simplify this particular step without going through each one of the discounts individually. I'm going to do something a little bit different. Okay, to do that, I'm going to scroll to another page, and I'll do a second one, and it's the same problem. So I'm going to start with $680 less 20% discount and a 10% discount. Again, the reminder, do not add those together to make it 30%. I'm still going to prove to you why that's still not a good thing to do. And we're going to do this with respect to 1 or 100. Okay, for example, 20% as a decimal is 0.20 after you move the decimal point 2 places to the left. Plus some value is going to equal 1. Okay, the difference between 20 hundredths and 1 is 80 hundredths. Okay, so there's your answer right there. Now, 10% written as a decimal is 0.10 plus some value is equal to 1 once again, and that would be 0.9. Okay, so the net cost equivalent, this is a new term here, the net cost equivalent is 0.8 times 0.9 is equal to 0.72. I'm going to refer that to that as NCE, the net cost equivalent. Now all I'm going to do is take 680 times 0.72 after, as a decimal value, and that will give me, and remember this 0.72 is the net cost equivalent, and then the 680 is the list price, and that will give me the net cost of $489.60. So we get the same result, but it saves us a lot of time to find the net cost equivalent. So with 20% and 10%, I took 0.8 times 0.9 in respect to 1, and then multiply that times the list price to give you the net cost of $489.60. Okay, then to find the list price, okay, we know the net cost is $489.60. And we know that the net cost equivalent is for 20 and 10, for 20% and 10% based on the previous problem. That would be 0.8 times 0.9. That would equal 0.72 for the net cost equivalent. And if we're solving for the list price, remember the base is that to which something is being compared, and the list price is the full amount of something, and the net cost is a portion, and then the net cost equivalent will be the rate. So I can identify this as the part and the net cost equivalent as the rate, and I'm going to solve for the base, and the base is equal to part divided by rate. Remember your symbol. Part is in the point, base is in the bottom, and rate is in the right. Okay, if I'm solving for the base, cover up your base, and that's part divided by your rate. So that's $489.60 divided by 0.72, and then that would equal your base of $680. That's if you only had the net cost and then the net cost equivalent of your chain discount. Then you could find your list price if you did not have that available. Okay, then let's go ahead and move forward to find the single discount equivalent. I told you earlier I would show you why you do not add the discounts in the chain together. This will give you, I think, the biggest compelling reason. So we're going to find the single discount equivalent. Okay, your answer will end with a percent sign. Okay, so we take 1, and I'm going to subtract that from 0.72. So I add a couple of zeros up here to make that even, and that will give us 0.28 when you subtract that out, and then just All you have to do to find the net cost, or excuse me, the single discount equivalent, move the decimal point 2 places to the right. That equals 28%. Remember, it's going to end with a percent sign after you move the decimal value to the right 2 times. So remember, it was a 20% discount and a 10% discount, and we even went as far as to find the net cost equivalent, which is same as 0.8 times 0.9 to equal 0.72. Okay, and then the main thing is we don't add those two together. 20 plus 10 is equal to 30 because it's not truly a 30% discount. In fact, it is a 28% discount. So if you took 28% times your list price, that would give you your correct discount amount. You could subtract your discount amount from your list price to give you your net cost. So anyway, that's 4 of the main slides I wanted to kind of take a look at first and foremost. And I want to take a look at a couple other items, beginning with invoices. Okay, let's move forward to the invoice. And this is from your handout that's provided in one of the links in your, you probably in the content link in your learning management system. This is Chapter 7, and we have 4 different types of dating methods that are on invoices. And this first one is called the ordinary dating method. And just to illustrate it, is right here. We're taking a 2% discount within 10 days, but anything after that 10th day, 11 on, we're not going to give them any type of a discount, but their net is due in 30, and if they don't pay within that 30-day period, then they're going to be subject to penalties. So here's just an example of what that particular invoice might have on it. It may have the invoice date of July the 10th, and they may even go ahead and include the date that the goods are received. But we're not going to use the date that the goods are received because this is not a date that the goods are received method that's being applied to this particular invoice. This invoice is the ordinary dating method, and so we don't pay any attention to the date goods are received. So we'll mark that one out. And our terms is a 3% discount if taken within 15 days, but the net is due in 60 days. So I want to know what the final discount date is, and then when the net payment date is as well. So I'm going to take July the 10th, and I'm going to do that right down here, and I want to add 15 days in the terms. So as illustrated right there, 15 days. So July the 10th plus 15 days equals July the 25th for the final discount date. And there's your answer right there. And then I'm going to go back to July the 10th, and I'm going to find out what the 60th day is. What's 60 days from July the 10th? So if I add those two together, July the 10th plus 60 days equals July the 70th. Okay, obviously July 70th does not exist. Okay, here's a quick thing to remember whenever you're looking at the number of days in a month. Remember that 30 days has September, April, June, and November. 31, 30 days, 31, and all the rest. Or here's your here's a hand. Okay, bad hand. Bad hand. Let's work on some drawing skills here. Okay, let's try that again. I'm going to hold up. Bad hand again. Bad drawer. Okay, come on, go away. There we go. I need an artist to be working on this. Okay, I'm holding up 4 fingers, and I'm starting right here at the top finger. This is January, and down in the valley is February. Top of this next finger is March. Down in the valley is April. Up here on the top of this finger is May. The bottom of this one is June. Top of this one is July. Then we start over. The top of this one is August. And then the valley is September. And then the top of this one is October. And the bottom of this one is November. And the top of this one is December. So all the fingers that were, all the months that were at the tips of our fingers have 31 days. And all the months that are down in the valleys have 30 or fewer days, such as February. Okay, so July 70th, since there's not 70 days in July, I'm going to say, you know what, there's 31 days. I'm going to subtract out the 31 days in July to give me August the 39th. Well, August the 39th doesn't exist either. So I'm going to subtract out 31 days in August to give me 8 days in September. So September the 8th is the final discount, or the final net payment date without any type of a discount provided. So if the net invoice is $575 and the total amount was paid on July 23rd, the buyer will receive a 3% discount since the full amount was paid before the July 25th deadline, which is the final discount date. Also, if the net invoice date is $575 and the total amount was paid on July 27th, after the July 25th deadline, the buyer is expected to pay the full amount of $575 since the buyer paid after the final discount date, yet the net payment date has not yet occurred. Now, if the net invoice amount is $575 and the total amount was paid on September the 9th, well after, or just one day after the net payment date, the buyer may likely have to pay the full amount plus penalty charges for exceeding the net payment date. If a net payment date is not indicated in the terms at all, for example, ours says net 60 right there. If that's not included, then you can assume that the net payment date will occur 20 days after the final discount date. That will be on all the different types of invoices. Okay, so that's the ordinary dating method. We're going to move to the next type of dating method, which is the extra dating method. Extra dating method can be identified with a 2% discount if taken within 10 plus 50 days, which equals 60. And it may have an X out to the side of it. It could be a 2% discount within 10 plus 50 days to give us 60 days extra with an EX, or 2 with a 10 plus 50, which is 60 days with the word extra. That's how you identify the extra dating method. Again, you don't pay any attention to the date that the goods are received. And we're going to take a 2% discount within 60 days. And then the net payment date, of course, is going to be due 20 days after that, after the final discount date. So we're going to start with January the 27th. Okay, let's go right down here. January 27th plus those 60 days. If we add 10 plus 50 together, that gives us 60. And that's why I'm bringing that right down there. And then January 27th plus 60 days gives us January the 87th. Okay, there's no such day as January the 87th, so I'm going to subtract out 31 days in January to give us February the 56th. Again, no such date, but unless it's a leap year, there's typically 28 days in February, so it doesn't say otherwise here, so I'm just going to use 28 days and subtract that from 56 to give me 28 days in March. So that is the final discount date. March 28th. Okay, then March the 28th is your final discount date, plus the 20 extra days in the net terms gives us March the 48th, which doesn't exist. So I'm going to subtract out 31 days in March to give us 17 days, which does exist, and that will be the net payment date. So if the net invoice amount is $575 and the total amount was paid on March 25th, that's before the final discount date, the buyer will receive a 2% discount since the full amount was paid before the March 28th deadline, which is the final discount date. If the net invoice amount is $575 and the total amount was paid on April 1, okay, that's between the final discount date and the net payment date, The buyer is expected to pay the full amount since the buyer paid after the final discount date, yet the net payment date has not yet occurred. If the net invoice amount is $575 and the total amount was paid on April the 19th, the day 2 days after the net payment date, then the buyer will have to pay the full amount plus penalty charges for not making a timely payment. If a net payment is not indicated in the terms, just as is with the case of all of the invoices, the net payment date will occur 20 days after the final discount date. Okay, so there's the ordinary dating method and the extra dating method. The third one is the end of the month dating method, and it can be identified with a 3% discount if taken within 10 days from the end of the month with EOM, or 3% discount if taken within 10 days. Proximo, or PROX could be abbreviated. That's Latin for end of the month. Okay, so the invoice is dated October the 4th, and the date that the goods are received is November the 2nd with terms of a 3% discount within 10 days Proximo. Again, we're not going to pay any attention to the date that the goods were received. It's going to be based on October the 4th, and the key component here is that October 4th occurs before the 25th of the month. If it occurred after the 25th of the month, then we will apply a different type of rule. But on the end of the month method, if it's before, on the 25th or earlier, then what we do is follow this example. We go to the next month, which is September, October, November. November, thank you. We'll go to November and look at the terms of 10 days. And so November plus 10 days will give us the final discount date. And then add 20 days for the net payment date. So November 10th plus 20 equals November 30th. Now, had our invoice date been the 26th, actually 25th, it could have been on the 25th and greater. We put less, so it's the 25th or greater. Then you skip November, go straight to December, and our final discount date would have been December the 10th, and then 20 days after that would have been December the 30th for the net payment date. And then our last method is the receipt of goods method, and this is the first time that we actually pay attention to the date that the goods are received. December 12th. We don't pay any attention to the invoice date, only the date that the goods are received. Our terms are identified with 3% discount if taken within 15 days of the receipt of goods. So December 12th plus 15 days in the terms equals December the 27th, the final discount date. Okay, from December 27th, add 20 days to that since it's not in the terms to give us our net payment date. December the 27th plus 20 days equals December the 47th. There's obviously not 47 days in the month, so we'll subtract 31 days from December to give us 16 days in January. So that's going to be the net payment date. Alrighty, there are the different types of terms of invoices. So be familiar with the ordinary dating method, the extra dating method, the end of the month dating method, which basically unless you have a really long ordinary dating method, it will probably give you the best results and at least a longer time to pay the invoice. And then finally the receipt of goods dating method, and it's the only invoice that's based upon the date that the goods were received. Okay, sometimes a company may not have the full amount to make a full payment. So they're going to make a partial payment to try to get a little bit of that discount. And then they will have an outstanding balance. So this company right here has an invoice date of September 1st, and the amount of their invoice is $388.20. They're going to make a partial payment of $225 on September the 8th. First thing I'm going to do is make sure that that's a legitimate date. Okay, since the terms is an 8% discount if taken within 10 days and the net is in 30, I'm going to find 10 days from September 1. So September 1 plus 10 days in the terms equals September the 11th, so that's the final discount date. The net payment date is September 1 plus 30 days to give us September 31st. September 31st does not exist, so we're going to subtract out 30 days in September to give us 1 day remaining in the next month of October. So October 1 is the net payment date. Okay, so the partial payment was made on September the 8th, and the final discount date is September the 11th. So we are able to take part of that 8% discount. So in order to do that, since a $225 partial payment is made on September 8th, then that amount must receive a credit to the account. But any amount paid after September 11 will not receive any discount, and any payment made after October 1 will likely result in a penalty for the remaining amount. So we're going to apply the base, part, and rate formula to determine how much credit to apply to this account. Okay, so the partial payment is going to be the part. How about that? The base is the amount of credit to apply, which we don't know how much credit we're going to apply yet. And the rate is equal to 8%. 8% is the discount, but the complement of 8% is 92%. That 92% reflects the percent paid for the amount of credit to apply to the account. So we're going to use 92% as the rate. Do not use 8%, since that represents the amount of the discount. And we are not looking for the amount, the discount amount. We are looking for the amount to apply to the customer's credit. So therefore, if we're looking for base, base is equal to part divided by rate. So that's 225, the partial payment, divided by the rate with the complement of 100. 100 from 8% is 92%, and then move the decimal point 2 places to the left. And that will equal the amount that we're going to credit the account of $244.57. We are not done. We're going to subtract $244.57 from the amount of the invoice of $388.20, and the amount due on the invoice that they're not going to get credit for is $143.63. Okay, let's walk through this little practice test here. Find the net cost of each one of these items. If we have, let's first find the net cost equivalent, and that would be 0.95, which 95 and 100, 5 is 100. 10, the difference between 10 and 100 is 0.9 after you move the decimal point 2 places left. And the difference between 20 and 100 is 0.8 after you move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So the net cost equivalent, if I enter that into the calculator, we're going to take 0.95 times 0.9 times 0.8 equals 0.684. So 0.684 is the net cost equivalent. We're going to take that times 1570, and that will give us $10.74 if you round it to the nearest hundredth. $10.74. Okay. We could also have done this, if we had our calculator out, you could also do it this way. 15.70 for the list cost times 0.95 times 0.9 times 0.8, and that would have equaled $10.74 as well. I just happened to find the net cost equivalent. Okay, number 2, the list price of $15.34 less a 25% discount and a 10% discount. I could find the net cost equivalent first, or I could just take $15.34 and then multiply that times the complement of 25, which is 0.75 after I move the decimal point 2 places to the left, and then multiply that times 0.9, the complement of 10%, and that will equal 1,035 and 45 cents. Okay, now we're going to find the single discount amount. Remember, we're not going to add the numbers in the chain discount together because that's not a true depiction of the actual discount. So the complement of 40% is 60, or 0.6 after you move the decimal point 2 places to the left, times 0.9, and that's going to equal 0.54. We're going to subtract that from the whole number of 1, and that means that the answer is 0.46, or 46%. So the true discount is 46%, not 50%. That's if you have the chains together and you're really wanting to know what the true discount will actually be. Now you could just find the net cost equivalent and subtract that from 1 to give you the single discount equivalent, the true discount amount. The next one is 0.85 times 0.9 times 0.8. And the net cost equivalent here is 0.612. Subtract that from 1. And that will equal 0.388. And I'll move the decimal point 2 places to the right to make it 38.8%. So the discount is not added together of 20, 30, 45%. It's technically just 38.8% is what the true discount really is. Okay, these next problems, we're going to find the final discount date. If the invoice date is November the 3rd and the terms is 2% discount if taken within 10 days from the end of the month, then we're not going to pay any attention to the date that the goods are received. So I'm going to go, since this is before the 25th of November, I'm going to go to December and add the number of days in the terms, which is December the 10th. Okay, August the 5th, and the terms is 3% discount if taken within 15 days of the receipt of goods. Oh, if it's receipt of goods, I'm not going to pay any attention to August the 5th. I want to use the date that the goods are received. Take August the 10th plus 15 days. In the terms will give me the 25th of August for the final discount date. Okay, then number 7, December the 8th. And the terms is a 4% discount if taken within 15 days proximo. So that's end of the month method again. So I'm before the 25th of of December. So I'm going to go to the next month, which is January, plus the number of days in the terms, which is 15. So it's January the 15th. Again, I'm not going to pay attention to that date. January 15th is your final discount date. Then October the 20th with 60 additional days. So I'm not going to pay attention to the date that the goods were received. October the 20th plus 60 days in the extra terms equals October the 80th minus 31 days in October 49 days. That gives you 49 days in October, November. And subtract 30 days in November to give you 19 days in December. So December the 19th will be the final discount date for that particular question. April the 7th, we have terms of 4% discount within 10 days, and net is doing 30. So we're not going to pay any attention to the date that the goods are received. So the 7th plus the 10 days in the terms gives us April the 17th for the final discount date. Alrighty. Number 10. The invoice below was paid on November the 15th. Find the total invoice amount and the amount that should be paid. So we're going to calculate all of these units and get the extension for each one of these items. If we have 16 items times $17.50 each, that will equal $280. Whoops, come back there. Okay, 8 items at $3.25 each. Give us $26. And then 4 items at $12.65 each. And then finally 12 items at $3.15 each. Okay, so the invoice total, I'm going to add those up, is $280 plus 26 plus 50.60 plus 37.80. That equals $394.40. Okay. So the invoice below was paid on November the 15th. Find the total invoice amount, which is $394.40. And then the amount that should be paid. The terms of this is a 2% discount if taken within 10 days, a 1% discount if taken within 15 days, and the net is due in 60 days. The date of the invoice is November the 6th. So if we have November the 6th plus 10 days, that equals November the 16th. So we get a 2% discount if we make the payment by November the 16th. Okay, we get a 1% discount if our amount is between November the 16th and, so we have November the 6th plus 15 days, make us 21, and that'd be November the 21st. And then the amount due is the 6 plus 60 days equals November the 66th, which doesn't exist, so I'll subtract 30 days from it to give us 36 days in December, and we'll subtract 31 days from December to give us 5 days in January. So January 5th is whenever the invoice is due without any type of discount. Okay, so we know that this particular invoice was paid on November the 15th, and we actually paid it, we actually get a 2% discount through the 16th, so we do get a 2% discount. So I'm going to take $394.40 and I'm going to take that times 0.98. That's a complement of 2%, which would $394.40 times 0.98. That'll give us $386. 386.51. And the reason I took that times 98% for this 2% discount, because the complement of 2 is 98. And if I use a 2% discount, that would have given me the amount of the discount. By taking it times the complement would give me the amount of the net cost of the invoice. Alrighty, let's look at some of these problems right here. Number 11, an invoice of $838 from Heidi Doll Toys has cash terms of a 2% discount taken within 15 days from the end of the month and is dated March the 8th. Find the final date on which the cash discount may be taken and the amount necessary to pay the invoice in full if the cash discount is earned. Alrighty, so first thing we're going to do is we realize that the terms is a 2% discount if taken within 15 days from the end of the month. Okay, it's dated March the 8th, so I'm going to go to the next month of April and add 15 days. So April the 15th is the final discount date, and that's the first question. That's listed, and so the discount for it to be earned, it must be taken on the 15th or before, and it doesn't provide that. It does say the amount necessary to pay the invoice in full if the cash discount is earned. So we're going to find the invoice amount of $838, and I'm going to multiply that times 2%, but I'm not going to use 2%. I'm going to use 98%. And that will equal $821.24. Okay, number 12. I just used the complement of 2%. I wasn't looking for the amount of the discount. I was looking for the amount of the invoice of paid in full, so that's why I used the complement of 2%, which is 98%. Number 12. A retailer purchased a van conversion kit list priced at $580 less a series discount of 20, 10, and 10 with terms of a 3% discount if taken within 60 days. That's the extra dating method. If she paid the invoice within the 60 days, find the amount paid. So this one, they made it a little bit simple for us because they didn't actually force us to calculate the 60 days from the day of the invoice. They didn't list all that information. They're just assuming that we got it, so we're going to go ahead and process through. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to do the series discount first, and we're going to find the net cost equivalent or calculate that as we go. The complements of 20, 10, and 10 is 0.8. Times 0.9 times 0.9. And that's going to give you a net cost equivalent of 0.8 times 0.9 times 0.9 equals, that's not the correct answer. It's 0.648. Multiply that net cost equivalent times the 580, the list price. And that will give us a net cost of $375.84. And then if we do pay that invoice within the 60 days, we get a 3% discount on that. So I'm going to multiply that times 0.97, which is a complement of 3. And this will be the net cost of our invoice. So that's 375.84 times 0.97. And that equals 364.56. Okay, number 13. Dubuque Supply offers 3-drawer file cabinets at $120, less 25% discount and a 10% discount. The same cabinet is offered by OfficeMate for $111 less 25% and a 5% discount. Find the firm that offers the lowest price and the difference in price. So the first one is, I'm just going to take 120 times the complement of 25, which is 0.75, times the complement of 10, which is 0.9, and the net cost or the net price is $81 by Dubuque. Then I'm going to look at OfficeMate. I'm going to take 111 times the complement of 25, which is 0.75, times the complement of 5, which is 0.95, and that equals $79.09. And the difference in price is $1.91. And that means that the best deal is by OfficeMate because it's $1.91 cheaper than Dubuque. Now you have to determine who is closest and what are the costs of delivery and those types of issues to determine is it worth $1.91. Okay, number 14. The amount of an invoice from Richland Farm Supplies is $17.80 with terms of 2% discount if taken within 10 days, a 1% discount if taken within 15 days, but the net is due in 30. The invoice is dated March the 8th. What amount should be paid on March 20 and what amount should be paid on April 3rd? So this is ordinary dating method. You can see it by the way that the format of the terms. The invoice is dated on March the 8th. Whoops. March the 8th plus 10 days equals March the 18th. And that's going to be a 2% discount. And then March the 8th plus 15 days is March 23rd. And that's for a 1% discount. And then March the 8th plus 30 days gives us March 38th. Minus 31 days gives us 7 days, April the 7th, for the due date without any type of discount. So the amount of an invoice from Richland Farms is $17.80 with those terms, and it's paid on March the 8th. And March the 8th is before March the 18th, so therefore we do get the discount. We get the discount of 2%, so $17.80 times the complement of 2% is 0.98 after you move the decimal point 2 places to the left, and that gives us $17.44.40. And then letter B, what amount should be paid on April 3rd? And let's see, if we would have reached the March 23rd deadline, we would have gotten a 1% discount. But between March 24th and April the 7th, we get no discount, so it's the full amount of $17.80. The full amount is due. Okay, number 15. Vintage Wines receives an invoice dated June 20th for $12.40 with terms of 4% discount if taken within 10 days of the end of the month. If the invoice is paid on July 6th, find the amount necessary to pay the invoice in full. So this date is before the 25th of the month, so we just go to the next month of July and add the number of days in the terms, which is 10. So July the 10th is our final discount date. It was paid on July the 6th, so we do get the discount of 4%. So I'm going to take the complement of 4%, that'd be $12.40, the invoice amount, times the complement of 4%, which is 0.96, and that equals $11.90.40. Then finally, Mimi McCall receives an invoice amounting to $14.58 with cash terms of a 3% discount if taken within 10 days proximo or the end of the month, and dated January 3rd. If a partial payment of $8.33 is made on February 9th, find the credit that we're going to apply to that partial payment and then the balance due on the invoice that doesn't receive any type of discount. So first of all, I want to make sure that we're paying it within the specified deadline. January 3rd, so we're going to go to February plus the number of days in the terms, which is 10. So February the 10th is the final discount date. And it says that we made $833 payment on $833 payment on February 9th, so we do get the 3% discount. So we first want to find out how much credit we're going to apply to the partial payment. Well, if you're looking for the amount of credit you're going to apply to your partial payment, you're looking for your base, and base is equal to part divided by rate. The part is the partial payment of $833 divided by the rate that you're going to apply, which is 3%, but I'm going to use the complement of 3%. I cannot use 3% because I'm not wanting to find the amount of the discount that we're going to get for the $833. I want to find out how much credit we're going to apply to the $833. So I have to use the complement of 3%, which is 0.97. That means that the base, or the amount of credit we're going to apply to the account, is $833 divided by 0.97, and that equals $858.76. Okay, we're going to subtract that. We're going to subtract the cost of the invoice. Put my answer right there, $858.76. And then I'm going to take the $14.58, the amount of the invoice, minus what we're going to credit their account of $858.76. And then this will be the amount outstanding on that company's invoice. Of $599.24. This is the amount that's outstanding that does not receive any type of discount. Okay, continue to work the drill problems at the end of the chapter and the summary practice test. This concludes Chapter 7.